Hi there, welcome to a series of videos called English for Emerson. Boy, I tell you what, I'm kind of fired up today. I got a look at the schoolwork that my son Emerson is doing, particularly the mathematics. It's pretty sad, actually. You know, I have so many regrets in my years in school, wasting so much time and not developing the skills that would help me in life, meaning social skills, communication skills, how to deal with relationships, conflict resolution, how to chat with people, uh, anything, how to open a bank account. I do remember in high school learning how to write out a check. That was useful, and I appreciate that. And I did learn some other things in high school. Very, very little that was practical, though, and it's so sad for me to see my son writing out math problems endlessly on paper like it's the 1800s. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's pathetic. And, you know, what does school really do for you? It teaches you how to sit still and uh, disassociate from your body and just pass the time in a state of tension and control. It makes you a worker, gives you the discipline to sit down and do endless hours of pushing buttons and pushing a pencil, but it doesn't teach you any life skills and communication skills. That's why I'm making this channel. And boy, I tell you what, it's a trigger for me to see my son's math homework. Good night. That's absolutely ridiculous. Yes, it's important for you to learn the times tables. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 7 is 35. Fine. Once you've done it one time, you don't need to keep doing it endlessly over and over and over, day after day, writing until you got a huge callus on your finger that doesn't go away still when you're 54 years old. Absolutely ridiculous. The educational system is a sham. You know, it costs money and it takes actual skill to sit down and think about how are we going to cook a really good meal. It takes ingredients, it takes pots and pans, it takes a stove. That'd be useful information. How to bake a really good cake, how to make world famous Swedish cinnamon rolls. Okay, that would be valuable skill. How to sail a boat in a lake. Very interesting information. How to tie a variety of knots to hook up all those sails and do all that stuff. How to tear down a V8 engine and put it back together would be useful information. How to replace the brakes on your car would be useful information, but it would cost money. You'd have to get a V8 engine. You'd have to get a car and take off the tires and figure out how the brakes worked and the calipers and all that. It would take some equipment. It would take some equipment to do all this kind of stuff. It takes some equipment to learn how to remodel a bathroom, tile saw, and, you know, silicon caulk, and it'd take bathtubs and sinks and plumbing and all that kind of stuff. It would be useful though. But sitting and doing endless hours of math problems, oh my God, I think I'm going to have a meltdown. And now it's being revisited upon my son. What a sham. What an absolute sham. Listen, we're going to try to teach you some social skills on this channel. One of which for me is having an epic meltdown today. Oh my God. Oh my God, all the years spent in math sitting on my ass with practical hemorrhoids out my ass because of sitting so long in a desk in a school with the size of frame that I have trying to sit in one of those goddamn desks. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And they're still doing it to this day. And my poor son is doing that bullshit. Unbelievable. Listen, what can we do about it? We can make this channel and we can make some lessons on social skills, and that's what we're going to do today. Listen, today's social skill is going to be about push-pull. Push and pull. Push and pull. You know, One of the things you got to learn about socializing is that you can't just have all gas and no brakes, or all brakes and no gas. Most people are a little too aggressive, or they're a little bit too withdrawn. Both approaches don't work very well, because if you're too aggressive, it kind of pushes people away. They're like, it's a little bit cringy. And if you're too withdrawn, well, then people can't, it's a little bit mysterious at first, and it might draw people in, but if you're too withdrawn, that's a major turnoff. People don't want to deal with stonewalling and the quiet game. Not a good strategy. The key to healthy relations with others is a little bit of what you call push and pull. Be a little bit aggressive and move forward, and then pull away a little bit. Extend yourself and pull away a little bit. Extend yourself and pull away a little bit. Here's an example. Okay, let's just say, for example, you're in the mall and you see a nice looking girl. This is, of course, for boys, okay? I'm a boy, so I'm making this primarily for the boys out there in terms of social skills. But let's say you're in a shoe store and you notice a very attractive girl that you like the look of, and she's checking out a pair of shoes and you want to talk to her. What do you do? How in the world are you going to work this out? That's what this is about, push and pull, okay? Here we go. Let's say you go over next to her and you say, "Excuse me, hey, how you doing?" And she says, "Oh, I'm okay, fine." She said, "And then what do you do now?" You say, "Can I meet you?" Or, "I would like to meet you. Is that all right?" She's either going to say, or she'll say, "Okay." And if she says, "Okay," you say, "Hey, what's your name?" She says, "My name's Julie." Say, my name's Ross. Nice to meet you. What are you up to today?" "Oh, I'm shopping for shoes, looking around a little bit." "Oh, all right. Well, do you live around here, or are you from out of town?" "I live around here." "You born here, or are you from someplace else?" "Oh, I was born in Houston." "Oh, really? You're born in Houston?" "I went down there one time. The traffic was terrible." Whatever. And so you say, "Well, hey, listen, it was really nice to meet you." She says, "Oh, it was nice to meet you too." And then you say, "Hey, we should hang out sometime." "Well, maybe." And then you pull. That's okay. So that's the push. That's the extending yourself forward. Now you're going to do the pull. You're going to say, "It was nice to meet you," and then you're going to walk away. Turn. You're going to walk away. Now you're doing the pull. You're putting on the brakes. Not for too long, but you turn away, and then you say, "Hey, before I go, how about you give me your phone number?" Do you see that? You go back onto the push. You get back on the gas. You got to create a little bit of you got to create a little space, a little bit of desire by walking away a little bit, by turning away a little bit. You don't want to come on like you're too needy, too strong. That pushes people away. In other words, it's a little bit of a dance. As you dance, you don't always lean in. You have to sometimes come back. There's a little bit of push and pull involved. You have to back up a little bit. You have to lean away a little bit, and then you come back. I hope it makes sense. Throughout in communication skills, throughout your social life, you gotta lean back a little bit at times. Same thing with like buying a car. When you go into the car lot, you find a car that you like. You say, "Hey, well, I'm interested in this car. What's your best deal on this thing?" They say, "Well, we can sell this car to you for $24,000. "Oh, really? $24,000? Okay, well, I'll have to think about it. Nice seeing you. What's your name?" "Bob." "Okay, yeah, my name's Ross." "Well, I'm gonna think about that $24,000. You walk away. You get out that door and start walking away. They'll come. They'll chances are they're going to come chasing out after you and offer you, the car for $21,000 or $22,000, maybe lower. But in all negotiation, and in the same thing with all your relationships, you don't always want to be so eager. You want to be eager, but you don't always want to be so eager. There's a great deal of power in pulling back a little bit. Now, you don't want to pull back too much. You have to engage, but you don't want to be on the gas all the time. I hope it makes sense. And I hope this little lesson on push and pull is helpful for you in the midst of me having a meltdown about how useless school is and how it's tragic that they're still teaching kids today in schools in this world like it's 200 years ago. And that's all we got to say today on English for Emerson. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.